Captain's log, stardate 6923.4. The Enterprise is completing a survey of the Calandra sector to study the aftereffects of a Class 3 ion storm which passed through the region 2 days ago. Mr. Spock, status of sensor analysis of the area.
Scans are nearly complete, Captain. The ion storm that traversed this sector was particularly disruptive due to high concentrations of anti-Dechion particles. Any Translator-based technology would have been seriously damaged, if not completely destroyed, by the storm.
It's a good thing no Starfleet vessels were in the vicinity. Let me know when the Science Department has enough data, and we'll set course for our next destination.
Captain, long-range sensors indicate a vessel in orbit of the second planet in the Gamma Sagani system, Novara 2. Readings indicate that the ship's power emanations are quite low. It could be in distress. The vessel lies directly in the path taken by the ion storm.
Any lifeform readings?
Not yet. We are not close enough to make that determination.
Continuous sensor scans. I want more information about that ship. Lieutenant Uhura, anything on subspace distress frequencies?
Nothing, Captain. I've checked emergency and standard communications channels. All silent.
That's not surprising. Subspace communications equipment is very sensitive to ion storms. Could be their subspace radio's been damaged.
Correct, Captain.
I'd like to investigate. That ship's crew could be in danger if life support has been damaged. We can come back later to finish those ion storm survey scans.
Not necessary, Captain. Science section reports survey scans now complete.
Very well. Mr. Sulu, change course for Novara 2. Warp factor 5.
Aye, Captain. Warp 5.
Approaching Novara 2, Captain.
Establish standard orbit, Mr. Eriks.
Aye, sir.
The alien ship is currently on the other side of the planet, Captain.
Report on Novara 2, Mr. Spock.
According to a report by the USS Binghamton 60 years ago, Novara 2 is a Class M world orbiting a relatively young Type G star. The planet has a very narrow, habitable, temperate zone extending only 20 degrees above and below the equator. The planet is home to a race of sentient humanoids who were at that time in a pre-industrial stage of development. They would now presumably be in an early industrial era, roughly equivalent to Earth, circa 1830 AD. Further details include that
There's the alien ship.
Spock, report.
scans coming in now. The vessel appears to be a long-range courier of Gorlan design, 1 or 2 man crew. Its systems have been disrupted in a manner consistent with a Class 3 ion storm. Life support is operating at a nominal level. Propulsion and defensive systems non-operational. Communications and sensor systems appear undamaged.
What about the crew?
Sensors indicate 1 inhabitant, a Gorlan male, and he appears healthy.
Lieutenant Uhura, hail him. Perhaps he requires assistance.
Aye, sir. I have the ship's master, Captain. He is eager to speak to us.
On screen. This is Captain James T. Kirk of the Federation Starship Enterprise. Our scans indicate that your ship has been recently damaged. Do you require assistance, sir?
Captain, I'm glad to speak to you. I am Revik, master of this ship. I was passing through this sector bound for Arpod 4 and Marcus 2 when my ship was hit by an ion storm. Many of my ship's systems are down. I would be grateful for any assistance you could offer.
Sir, I've studied Mr. Spock's scans of Revik's ship. An engineering team of 5 from the Enterprise could repair his system in less than 2 days.
Revik, we could beam a repair team over to help get your ship back on its feet.
Thank you, Captain. That would be much appreciated. I'm sending transport coordinates now.
Captain's log, stardate 6923.6. The Enterprise is in orbit of Novara 2, while Mr. Scott's engineering team is assisting in repairs to Revik's vessel, which encountered an ion storm while on a courier run through the system.
Interesting.
Something, Spock?
Possibly nothing, Captain. Revik's ship is a courier vessel, but it is configured strangely. It possesses an excess of sensor, deflectors, and communications equipment. It also has an oversized cargo bay, almost filled with raw materials and foodstuffs. And its engines, to accommodate the space taken up by the cargo bay and all of the enhanced equipment, the normal engines listed for this particular design of Gorlan courier have been replaced with a smaller, less powerful propulsion system.
Enhanced sensors and deflectors, huh? Extra cargo space. A courier ship not built for speed.
Additional readings coming in. Sensors are detecting an energy signature in the space above the planet, indicating that a vessel has been in continuous orbit for several years.
Captain, I'm picking up old-style radio transmissions.
On speakers, Lieutenant.
Aye, sir.
Why would Revik be transmitting on that frequency?
That's just it, Captain. They're not coming from his ship. The transmissions are coming from the planet.
From the planet?
Confirmed, Captain.
That's impossible. Aren't the Navarans in an early industrial period? They shouldn't be able to make radio transmitters for nearly 100 years.
Nevertheless, the transmissions are being made, and it appears they are being directed into space.
Could they be talking to Revik? What's he doing here?
Why not ask him?
Yes, I think I will. Lieutenant Uhura, get Revik on ship to ship.
Right away, sir. He's coming through now, sir.
Yes, Captain? Can I help you?
Mr. Revik, we're detecting radio transmissions from the planet below. As you might know, the inhabitants shouldn't have radio technology, yet they're sending radio messages into space.
I don't understand.
My question is, are they talking to you?
What? No. I don't know anything about this. Surely it's possible that the radio waves may be natural in origin. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, that's all for now. Enterprise out. That's odd.
You don't believe him, do you? He's obviously hiding something.
We can't do anything at the moment, and we shouldn't make any more accusations. We don't have enough facts. Yet. Captain's log, supplemental. I've ordered a landing party beamed down to the surface of Navara 2. They are to investigate the Navaran civilization and possibly discover the source and purpose of the mysterious radio transmissions. Remember, Bones, we don't want to interfere with their culture. Just use your tricorders and ask the inhabitants some questions if necessary.
You're being a mother hen, Jim. Don't worry. We won't tell them anything. Just look around a bit.
Ready to beam down landing party. Coordinates are set for a small village where some radio waves are detected. Very well, Mr. Kyle. Energize.
This appears to be the town square.
Look, they have ox carts. I wonder if they also...
There will be plenty of time for sightseeing later. Let's avoid the villagers for now. Tricorders. Scan for radio equipment and anything out of the ordinary. Let's go.
Doctor, tricorder readings indicate radio technology in the direction of that structure at the end of the square.
It's the biggest and most elaborate structure in the village. It could be the city council or the
church. Primitive cultures were often steeped in religious iconography and elaborate temples.
My tricorder's picking up radio waves coming from the church or whatever it is.
On your toes, everybody. I want a closer look at that building. Let's go.
Bells. Church bells? Hey, looks like the services are over.
Wes, let's have that universal translator.
Here it is, Doctor.
Here comes a typical looking local. Hopefully we can get some answers. Excuse me, friend. We are travelers from the western provinces. The architecture of your village is very elegant. What building is that from which you were just leaving?
Oh, you're from the Tarquilla lands. I'm Gendar. This is our cathedral. Do your temples look so different?
No. Just, smaller, less ornate.
Yes. Our temple is said to be the largest in the province.
I'm curious. What are your worship ceremonies like in this province?
Surely all commute with the Revok in the same way. Offerings are placed on a platform, and then we speak our prayers to the altar. Then the offerings are taken by Revok.
The offerings, they disappear?
Glory to the Revok, yes. I see that you praise him as we do.
Yes, yes we do. Thank you, friend. Have a good day.
May Revok watch over you.
He called their god the Revok.
Ready to try it again, sir.
Okay, Captain. Watch the board. I'll restart the deflector shield array. Hopefully our calibrations are correct.
All readings within range, sir. Mr. Scott, look at this waveform.
What are you on about? I see what you mean. I've only seen deflector harmonics like these once before. Gabler, be a good lad and put these access plates back. I'm going to report in.
Right away, sir.
Scott to Enterprise. Scott to Enterprise.
Enterprise, Kirk here. How are repairs progressing, Mr. Scott?
Ahead of schedule, Captain. Sir, this ship's fitted with some very advanced equipment. Testing the deflector system, I noticed that it's configured with stealth technology.
A cloaking device?
Aye.
Does Revok know you've discovered it?
No, sir.
Good. Let's keep it that way for now. Is the cloak operational?
Not at present. All of the device's iridium cloak modulators are burned out.
Can he repair them without our help?
I don't think so. He has no store of iridium, and there's precious little on the planet.
Okay. Mr. Scott, I'm recalling your repair team back to the Enterprise. Tell Revok. Tell him that you have to break for the day.
Aye, sir. Scott out.
Mr. Spock, analysis.
It appears as we suspected. The configuration of Mr. Revok's vessel conflicts with his stated purpose.
Yes. Something's rotten in Denmark.
I fail to see how the situation with the courier ship relates to conditions in a small nation within the Nordic region of Earth.
Captain, report coming in from the landing party.
Yes, Lieutenant?
They report they've discovered the source of the radio transmissions from the surface.
Uhura, recall the landing party. When they return aboard, have Dr. McCoy, Mr. Sulu, and Commander Scott join me in the briefing room.
Aye, sir.
Mr. Spock, I'd like you there as well.
Of course, Captain.
Mr. Eriks, you have the con.
Aye, sir.
We have a very odd situation here, gentlemen. Spock's sensors indicate a ship in orbit for a long period of time. The landing party identified rudimentary transporter devices in churches on the surface. And Mr. Scott found a cloaking device built into the deflector shields on a Revok ship.
Aye, and it appears to have been in operation continuously up until the ion storm hit.
Finally, there's the strange radio transmissions from the Novarans' church.
To their god, the Revok. We asked some older villagers down there, and up until about 47 years ago, the Novarans worshipped Zanra, the All-Father. Now they revere a Revok, the invisible watcher from above. Why the sudden change?
If I may, Captain, taken separately, these facts cannot be rectified. However, if all are connected,
The Navaran god, a Revok, invisible, watching from above. A Revok. Revok! It's him! He's playing God!
Fascinating.
It's not fascinating, Spock. It's reprehensible. The idea of someone using advanced technology to assume the role of the planet's god.
That seems to be exactly what's happening here. Then Revok is violating General Order Number 1, the Non-Interference Directive.
No, Mr. Sulu. Revok is a Gorlan, and Gorla Prime is not a member of the Federation. The Prime Directive does not apply to him. But its application to us is clear. We cannot interfere.
The captain is correct. To interfere with a pre-warp culture is strictly prohibited by General Order Number 1.
But we've got to stop him, Jim. It's not natural.
No. To the Navarans it is supernatural. It has been their way of life for nearly half a century. In a way, Revok's doing for the Navarans what Kukulkan did for the Mayans and Aztecs, and ancient Chinese of Earth.
Yes, and what Apollo and his people did for the ancient Greeks.
Perhaps to the Navarans he is God in a very real sense. With his technology he can cure diseases, prevent natural disasters and destructive weather, end droughts, prevent crop failures.
He may even inspire them to enter a new golden age of prosperity.
But it's wrong. Even if he does great good, he's holding the Navaran society hostage. He's usurped their entire way of life. What if years from now he grows bored and becomes capricious? Changed his mind and decides to punish them indiscriminately.
You mean randomly smiting innocents the way it happens on most other planets with a so-called benevolent all-spirit.
Now what's that supposed to mean?
Gentlemen, please. I'm with the doctor, Captain. It seems wrong to stand by and do nothing. Gentlemen, our hands are tied. Revok may be violating the spirit of the Prime Directive, but to stop him, we would have to violate the same directive. Gorlans are a very long-lived species. He can stay in orbit as their god for centuries. But there's nothing in the regulations that says we have to help him. Mr. Scott, you said that Revok won't be able to repair his cloaking device.
Aye, and he can't. Revok has no spare cloaking modulators, and no raw iridium to fabricate new ones. If he had the iridium, he could fix the cloak emitter on his own in a few weeks.
Couldn't he just synthesize iridium with replicators?
No, the Gorlans don't have advanced replicator technology.
Well then, we can just leave him here, and within 200 years they'll be able to spot him in orbit with telescopes.
He will then be found out for the false god that he is, for good or ill.
Captain Kirk, Revok is hailing us. He wishes to speak to you about the repairs.
Tell him to stand by, Lieutenant. I'm on my way. That's all for now, gentlemen. Return to your posts. Put Revok through, Lieutenant.
Aye, sir.
Captain, is there something wrong? My ship still needs repairs.
Yes, you might say something's wrong. What are you doing here? Why does your ship have an abundance of monitoring equipment, cargo capacity, and a cloaking device? And your courier ship has undersized engines.
You're concerned that my ship is not up to specifications?
Mr. Revok, do we have to spell it out? You weren't just recently passing through the system. You've been in orbit for decades. And perhaps we should call you a Revok, just like your Navaran supplicants do.
I have no idea what you're talking about. My courier ship was caught in an ion storm when I passed through.
Then what about the transporter technology and the radio transmitters that are located on the planet's surface? For electronic prayers and offerings?
Okay, so what if they were giving tribute?
Then you admit it. You've been playing God.
I admit that I've been helping them, curing diseases, helping with agriculture. What of it? I'm not bound by your Prime Directive.
But what you're doing is wrong. You've stolen these people's way of life. What right do you have to...
What gives me the right? Divine right, perhaps. Who's to say I wasn't destined or fated to be their god? You and I know that I'm just a scientific wizard up here orbiting over the Navarans' heads, but they see me as a supreme being.
You're evading the issue, Revok. This has to end.
If I leave, I'll no longer be able to help them. Diseases, tornadoes, hurricanes, drought will all come back. What will they do?
They will do what all developing cultures must do. learn to cope and learn to address the difficulties of their planet's environment, and solve the problems all sentient beings must solve. They must develop science, reason, on their own.
You're giving them a crutch. In the long run, it could only end up harming them more than helping. You're spoiling them.
All of this is academic, gentlemen. I need those repairs. Denying them for me means you are actively interfering with the planet's current society.
You'll just have to make do. Tell the Navarans that you trust them to go their own way, that you'll watch them, but not interfere.
But Captain, I need that iridium. If I don't repair the cloaking device, the Navarans will eventually detect me. Surely it's a violation of your Prime Directive to allow their society to be disrupted.
It won't be disrupted for centuries.
Then I'll cut off communication with them immediately, if you don't help me. I assure you, Captain, I can cause drought and crop failures as easily as I have caused helpful rains.
But you wouldn't.
Mr. Scott, our technical files are being accessed by someone outside the ship.
Oh, that tears it. Scott to bridge. Scott to bridge.
Bridge, Kirk here.
Revik is accessing our technical files. He's getting the specifications of all our equipment.
Confirmed, Captain. Revik is using one of his advanced sensor arrays to scan our computer's memory banks. In particular, he was able to access the specs for our replicators before Mr. Scott managed to break the connection. With that data, he will be able to...
I'll be able to replicate as much iridium as I need. Thanks for the help, gentlemen. I believe this concludes our business.
Listen, Revik, if you think we'll just stand by while you...
That's exactly what you'll do. Your own regulations prevent you from taking any action against me. But he can't be allowed to continue this charade. We have to stop him, Jim.
I'm afraid there really isn't much we can do, Bones. We'll be leaving the area, Revik. I know when I've been beaten. Kirk out. Mr. Sulu, take us out of the system. Warp Factor 2.
Aye, sir. Warp 2.
I can't believe you're just going to let Revik get away with this.
Am I? Mr. Eriks, when I give the order, bring the ship about. Take the Enterprise directly at Revik's ship, then veer off at the last moment.
Speed, sir?
Warp 6. Mr. Sulu, full power to weapons. Set phasers for pinpoint firing pattern. 1/4 power. Direct phasers to these coordinates. But hold your fire until I give the command.
Aye, sir.
What are you?
Just watch, Doctor. Now, Mr. Eriks, bring her about.
Yes, Captain.
Red alert. Sound battle stations.
Aye, sir. Revik's hailing us, sir.
No response, Lieutenant.
We are now 10,000 kilometers from him. 9,000. 8,000. 7,000. Direct hits, Captain. Minimal damage.
Now, Mr. Sulu, return fire. Direct phasers at the specified coordinates.
Aye, sir.
Put Revik through, Lieutenant, and silence the alarms.
Aye, sir.
What is the meaning of this? How dare you attack me? You violated your own most important directive.
Ah, but in emergency situations, the self-defense of a starship takes precedence over the Prime Directive. And since you fired first, we had no choice but to defend ourselves.
But you didn't fire at my engines or weapons.
No?
Sensor scans indicate that the damage to the courier vessel is minimal. However, the cloaking emitter was completely destroyed.
You did that on purpose.
We just fired in self-defense. It must have just been a lucky shot. Sorry about that. If you'd like, you can file a complaint with Starfleet Command regarding my actions.
No, I know when I've been outwitted. Revik out.
So, this concludes our business? Captain's log, stardate 6924.1. We have left the Navaran system. Revik's ship remains in orbit, but I've alerted Starfleet Command about the situation, and they intend to deploy observation arrays to monitor the system to ensure Revik does not escalate his interference with the native population. Helmsman, steady she goes.
Aye, sir.
Scanning our engineering computer files was a pretty neat trick, but he didn't know who he was messing with.
He will not be able to repair his cloaking device without outside assistance.
Which he won't be able to do without alerting Starfleet. He'll be forced to slowly withdraw his influence over the years, until he's little more than a memory.
And if he doesn't, the Navarans will figure out he's a fraud on their own before long. Ugh, I knew you couldn't just stand by and let him get away with it. But the law was on his side, Jim.
There's an old Earth saying, Bones. Fiat justitia ruat caelum.
I think I know it. Latin. Cicero, wasn't it?
Actually, Doctor, the quote is attributed to the Roman statesman Lucius Calpurnius Piso Caesonius, circa 55 BC. Piso was also the father-in-law of Gaius Julius Caesar, then Emperor of Rome. It is also the motto of Starfleet's Judge Advocate General's office.
Blasted walking encyclopedia. What does it mean, Jim?
It means, do justice and let the heavens fall.
Appropriate, Captain.
Aye, do the right thing, regardless of the consequences. I'll say, though it wasn't quite legal, you did justice, and in a way, heaven, a Revok, did fall.
What's wrong, Bones?
I was just wondering, what would you have done if Revik hadn't fired on us?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure we could have come up with some other way to trick him into making a mistake.
Undoubtedly. If there is one thing I have learned from dealing with humans, when it comes to trickery and deceit, humans have no equal.
Why, you pointer-eared Vulcan, what makes you think you can call us tricksters and get away with it?
There's no use arguing about it, Bones. When Spock's right, he's right.
Well, you don't have to be so happy about it.